Hey, 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 everyone, and welcome to A View from the SIP.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Hello, hello, hello.
We got Dr. Lane rolling with us tonight, and we are so excited to have you join us. How you doing, Doc?
Hey, enjoying life, super busy, making a change in the world, helping.
Cool, cool, cool. So, my co-host, Mr. Jermaine, how you doing?
I'm doing great this evening, Dr. J. How are you doing, Doctor?
I'm doing super fantastic. Looking forward,
Awesome, awesome.
looking forward to discussing some COVID with you a little bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have a few questions once we get into it.
Okay,
So,
I
Jay,
look
I'm gonna
forward
let
to
you
it.
start out with the questions. What
Uh,
questions do you have?
well, my questions for Dr. Lane would definitely be being that I am a community health worker, and I work for a nonprofit as a leakage to care specialist. My concerns is how is it after being vaccinated or not being vaccinated for those who are have autoimmune deficiency diseases such as being HIV positive or those living with AIDS.
Well, I mean, I know that, and a lot of people don't know one of my titles, and is that I'm the science officer for the Black AIDS Institute in the United States. So I'm in a very high position on the largest AIDS institute in the United States for Black folks, and so I take that position very seriously. But I've always talked about it a year ago. One another persons that will be affected by the SARS-CoV virus would be people with HIV. The reason why you understand HIV, and I don't need to give you guys a lesson in understanding CD4 cells and opportunist infection, but these are very vulnerable people if their medication is not up to date or they have some type of complication. One of the things with the COVID is that it set them up for not just a pulmonary insult, but it will also give them infections and bad things in the other organ system, since this virus not just affects the lungs, it affects every other cell. So you can imagine an HIV patient that's immunocompromised gets this virus. This virus can tip them over into a bad situation and stuff. So that's why I tell our HIV patients very important to take this stuff very seriously. And you have to make sure that you're wearing a great antiviral mask. You need to create that bubble for yourself because this is not a game. John Hopkins just came out just 3 months ago with a paper talking about HIV and COVID, and when people that have HIV and COVID, they're getting wiped out, and so it's not a very good disease to have a combination wide. So it's very important for folks like that to prevent themselves from being affected by using good techniques, etc.
We
I
can't hear
can't
you.
hear him.
We can't
Can
hear
you
you.
guys hear me? Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, I can.
You can hear me now? Okay. I think that's great information, especially for people that are in the position that I'm in. Once we come in contact with those clients, once we come in contact with those clients that are concerned and want to know how does it and how will it affect them that are
Yeah,
infected.
you're gonna have to, Jonathan. Yeah, you have to repeat that question. You were in a matrix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
tell them in
sorry.
the background that you need the noise to go down some.
Okay,
Okay. Well, how about now? We've been doing
that's pretty
good
good there.
these last. Okay. So I was saying that that's great information for people that are in the position that I'm in. Once we come in contact with clients who want to know how does it affect them being infected.
I didn't catch. I can understand you talking about being affected. Being affected. Are you talking about the HIV patient? Or are you talking about a different type of patient?
Right, right. Being that I'm right, I'm a linkage to care specialist. So those are clients that I work with and a lot of them question about COVID and the vaccine. And the information you just gave is great information for people that are in the position that I'm in. When those clients ask me or ask people like me, how will the vaccine or how will COVID affect them?
Well, I think one of the things with the vaccines, like I talked about in all the platforms I'm on, from MSNBC, NPR, the Black News Channel, Japanese Global News Network, is that if you get this vaccine and you're HIV compromised, you better make sure you're very informed, because this vaccine can set off a crisis in you and get you into a bad situation. And the reality is that we're still figuring out the science and the medicine of how the vaccine's working. I mean, this vaccine has a half life of 90 days, really 85 days when you get the vaccination. And now it's down to 2 months. So what does that mean? Somebody that's HIV positive gets the vaccine, they're going to have booster shots on a regular basis to keep their neutralizing antibodies up. And so this is something they need to make sure that they understand, and they need to understand what their CD4 count is, and are they healthy enough to get the vaccination? Because you don't want to get a vaccine like this and then also have some major complications that really takes you to the other side. And so that's my recommendation. Make sure you get informed, understand the science behind the medicine, and understanding that they need to make sure they're creating that bubble so they don't get infected with any of the infective virus, which will set them up for major complications.
So, Jay, before you ask your next question, Dr. Rowland, can you give us a little bit of your background? You know, a lot of doctors who have been weighing in on this, not only the vaccine, but COVID-19, they are just family doctors. But you are an infection disease specialist. You have studied infectious disease all around the world. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, my background, I don't, Dr. J, that's a very good question. I hate talking about myself. When I was younger, man, I had an ego so big because I wanted to tell people what I did. As I've gotten mature, I try not to get into that because it almost sounds, because people are so sensitive now. They look at you and they get jealous, and they all of a sudden they saying you're arrogant. Well, I'm not arrogant. The facts is the facts. But if you really want to get technical, about my background, I have a BS in microbiology and a minor in military science. I have a master's in cellular and molecular biology. I have 2 medical degrees. I did my 2 years of fellowship in infectious disease in Peru. Chemical and biological warfare, qualified, certified in it. Director of clinical tropical medicine in Peru for the last 20 years. And I've been studying diseases for 30 years. And I actually see real patients in the jungles that have real diseases, from malaria, dengue, chikungunya, all types of viral diseases, from Ebola to multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. And I do real world clinics and helping children survive, and bringing them medications and all types of stuff for them, from vaccines to antibiotics.
Yeah. Jay, do you have another question before I ask my questions?
My final question for Dr. Rowland would be: do you see COVID-19 coming to an end?
No, I don't see COVID-19 coming to an end probably in another 50 years. And you'll be wearing a mask for the next 50 years. This is our new endemic infection. When the virus actually ends is when we look at the sewage. We look at sewage as an indicator of the population of the health. What does that mean? Well, Dr. Rowland, what does that mean? Well, we'll go and we'll get samples from the feces, and we can measure what the viral load is, what the COVID situation is in a population sewage, just like we do with polio. And so when the population is healthy, and gets healthy, we'll be able to go to the sewage, and we will be able to measure the viruses in the sewage. And that will gives us an indicating how healthy the community is. And when we find no viruses in the sewage, then that means the virus is going away. Same thing we've done with polio in Pakistan. We measured the sewage when after we took care of everybody, people got healthy. We couldn't find the virus in the population. And that means that the pandemic or endemic infection will go away. It's ended.
So 50
Great
years.
information. Wow. I wouldn't have never even thought that would be a factor in weighing, the odds or determining whether or not, infection or disease, is clear in the clear. Wow,
Yeah, but
super.
that's part of it. When you're talking about fighting disease is a holistic approach. It's not just, you know, uh, pushing medication. It comes to educating Big Mama in Lexington, Mississippi, telling what the virus is, epidemiology. Big Mama, this is what you need to do. Big Mama, how do you protect yourself? Big Mama, you get the vaccination. Big Mama, you need to know what your antibody levels are. And Big Mama, this is the mask you need to have. Big Mama, this is a test you have to have, and you have to create a bubble, and that's the reality. And that bubble consists of everything from education to hard stuff.
So my question, Dr. Rowland, so you said that the vaccine is only effective for about 89, 90 days. Have you taken the vaccine? Why or why not?
No, I haven't taken the vaccine, and I won't be taking this vaccine because I don't. The vaccine is going to have to show me that it has effectiveness in actually preventing disease, actually preventing long term consequences. And I haven't believed that the science and medicine can. In fact, we're still in the experimental state of this vaccine, and you guys are the guinea pigs. And we're going to find out what's going to happen in the next 6 months on the reality of understanding what this vaccine capabilities is, really the capabilities, and also understanding what's its effect on the world in decreasing infection. But right now, I'm not taking it. I don't think anybody between any children should be taking this vaccine because this vaccine is still experimental.
So, what is your advice to your patients? You are one of the reasons why I haven't taken the vaccine because of, you are one of the few doctors who I know that study infectious diseases, and you have always had the same stance about the vaccine. So,
Well, it's
what?
not. It's not about Dr. J. It's not about me. Being pro-vaccine. I am a pro-vaccine individual. The reality is that this vaccine still has a lot of questions to be answered, and it's been pushed on people. And we know in the history of our society, when people push something on somebody, there's always some type of alternative motive behind that. Just like with the sickle cell disease experimentation. So we always got to realize the reality of what we're dealing with. And the reality is that when the science says, Doc, this is a great vaccine, I'm going to take it. But as long as I know that 90% of the people out there who get this vaccine don't know what their neutralizing antibodies is, that tells me that's not a very good platform. And that tells you that they're only giving you half the education. Everybody that gets the vaccine needs to know they're neutralizing the antibodies, period. End of story. I've said that on national TV, Sunday night news. That is reality. But most of you folks you guys all drunk the Kool-Aid where they give you a vaccine and say, okay, you're healthy. They kick you out into the world. Well, how do you really know you have any antibodies? You don't. The only one way you have to get a test, and that test will tell you what your neutralizing antibodies are. That's a fact.
So, what advice do you tell people to, uh, I guess, protect themselves from COVID-19 and the Delta variant?
Say that again now.
What advice do you tell people to protect themselves from um, COVID-19 and the Delta variant?
Well, some of the stuff. Hold just one sec. Yeah, some of the things you have to understand in dealing with the variants is that you got to have a basic biosecurity protocol for yourself. That means, what does that mean? That means understanding you got to have a proper mask. You got to make sure that you understand the reality. Oh, you have to understand the reality of what you're dealing with. So, for example, we know that this virus is transmitted in three ways. The virus is transmitted through respiration, respiratory, which means that you can get it from the air. You can also get it from secretion. People don't realize is this virus colonization, it starts in your nose and your throat. And so people and we can spit, and spit will have that in the virus in there. Spit can get in your face, spit on a table. And then the other way is a virus can affect you through feces, waste. You can get contaminated like that. So if you understand these three ways, you can come up with effective policies and protect yourself. Safety, biosafety, and security protocols. One, you have to have a mask. Two, you have to have antiseptic soap, wash your hands. Three, you have to have foot masks in front of your doors to decontaminate your shoes. People don't realize the virus is transmitted on the bottom of your shoes. So these are the things you have to understand, making sure that you understand bathroom control, making sure that your bathroom is clean on a regular basis, making sure you desanitize your produce food from the store because the virus, feces, and all that stuff on your cabbage, on your apples, your donuts, everything, because people go into a produce section with no mask, they cough on your bananas, they pick their nose, they squeeze the avocados, etc., and you bring that home and you can get infected. So this is why you have to have situational awareness and understand that this is a new world, and you guys are all going to become microbiologists.
Wow.
Now, I'll add one more thing. I'll add one more thing to that is that understanding too that as you guys go into the public arena, you have to understand all the kiosk machines, all the ATM machines, all the bank machines are infected with feces all the time, 365 days, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Because people are nasty, and we've done the studies where we found all this stuff on these public things. So, no, never touch a gas pump handle. When they tell you put your PIN number in for an ATM, make sure you disinfect your fingers or don't touch it at all. Because if you take that finger and put it in your eyeball, it might kill you.
Yeah, and I've started, and that's one of the ways that I've been doing to stay safe during this pandemic. I have stacks of gloves that I keep in my car. When I pump gas, I put on the glove. When I open doors, I use gloves. I don't touch anything, that other people are touching. I use a glove or a napkin or something other than my hands.
Well, you have to, and this is when I teach infectious diseases, guys, this is why you have to really follow people that really teach this stuff and understand this stuff. So I teach an infectious disease course, advanced course, and a basic course in infectious disease, a master course in pathogenic virology, and a master's course in molecular medicine and diagnosis of infectious diseases. I teach people if you understand the ABCs of infectious diseases, how you can contract diseases, you can save your life. One, I have call them Dr. Rowland's ABCs. I have an R, respiratory, secretions. You have to make sure you wear a mask, vaccinated or unvaccinated. Then we have 7 Fs, face, feces, flies, fingers, foot, formite, and food. These are the things that you can get you infected, i.e., we find this SARS-CoV virus in chicken wings, frozen ones. We find them in ice cream, frozen. We find them in steaks, chicken. So you have to make sure that you're cooking your food and making sure that food is cooked, or you can be infected that way. Foot, the virus is transmitted on your foot. That's a possibility of infection. The face, people contact their face all the time. So these are some of the F's that I talk about in my classes, and I teach you folks, if you understand how a disease is transmitted, you can inhibit yourself from being affected by breaking one part of that transmission cycle, i.e. flies. Flies land on your potato salad, lands on your Coca-Cola, lands on your table. You need to make sure you don't eat it, or you need to disinfect it. So flies can transmit the virus too, because the fly lands on doo-doo, and the flies with doo-doo, which has a virus. And you guys, you boys down in Mississippi, y'all love y'all potato salad, and that fly lands in your potato salad and drops that virus off, and man, you eat that, man, or come in contact with it, you ball game over with you. You won't be having any more potato salad.
I'm laughing, but you are absolutely right. And what I've learned about how to fight this virus, I learned last summer working with you, and I am so thankful for that time. And I've seen that they have been using fear to get people to take this vaccine. And I'm like, I've seen other people jump on this bandwagon. They haven't read a white paper, they haven't done the research, but they want to shame people who haven't taken this vaccine.
Well,
So, Miss,
I understand what you're saying, but don't let these fools out there try to put you in one corner or another. Because at the end of the day, the person that's going to be responsible for your health is going to be yourself. Now,
exactly.
I guarantee you, if you get the vaccine, mark my words, and for God forbid you have some type of adverse reaction, say you lose your eyesight, maybe you become maybe become paralyzed. I'm pretty sure them people that are advocating the vaccine are not going to be there to wipe your ass and change your diaper for the next 30 years. That ain't happening.
Good point. So Miss Patricia Brown said, if the vaccine is not protecting people from the variants, what do you think the real purpose of the vaccine is?
Well, I think they called it Operation Warp Speed, and Operation Warp Speed, that train went off the mountain. The reality is that the vaccine was rushed too quick. It takes 3 to 10 years to make a vaccine. At the end of the day, the vaccine is effectiveness. Even I give the vaccine the benefit of the doubt. It's effective for 90 days. That's what the paper in their article and white paper says. How long the vaccine lasts. So that means after 90 days, you're going to get infected, and people who have gotten double vaccinated have died. I did a broadcast program on Jesse Jackson and his wife 2 weeks ago on the Sunday Night News. Well, it's almost a month now because both of them were fully vaccinated. And both of them ended up in ICU. And then Jesse had dementia. Now the dementia is 10 times worse than what he had. So this is a reality of what the vaccine is limited to. And you're going to have to make the best decision in your life by being informed, understanding information, understanding what the long-term results. And like I told you folks a year ago, people thought I was crazy. I said, you guys are going to be getting booster shots for the next 2 or 3 years. And sure enough, guess what you all going to be getting? Booster shots 2 or 3 times for the next 50 years because the vaccine doesn't have long-term immunity. You're going to be vaccinated on a regular basis.
Wow. Jermaine, do you have any other questions for Dr. Rowland?
I'm looking at Jermaine's face, man. I think his jaws dropped. I think he's stunned. I'm sorry, Jay. I'm Dr. Rowland.
You muted, Jay.
See, he's so nervous he muted himself.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're so nervous you muted
So
yourself.
what's amazing about this whole conversation is prior to Dr. J, Dr. Carthen, telling us about Dr. Rowling, I had already previous seen a like an interview of you about 2 months ago for the first time, and then I heard her discussing you and saying that you were going to come on the show, and then after listening to that and listening to you now tonight, it's kind of like, whoa, wait a minute. It's a bit much, all at one time, but it's real talk. As you said, we all are responsible for our own health, so we all have to make our own decisions and
Well,
all
see, you
that.
have to see Jay. You have to realize, see, Dr. J is one of the few people on the planet that has access to me because I'm on a different level. I mean, I'm
And I'm
drowning.
glad to have access to her.
Yeah, so
Y'all need to stop.
Dr. J could pick up the phone and we get it done. That's what type of relationship we have, and not a lot of
Awesome.
people don't have. People don't have access to Fauci, these guys, but
Right.
I'd make myself available for everybody, and just try to give people great information.
And I really appreciate it. I'm one of those who, um, well, I am vaccinated now. But I was one of the ones from the beginning all the way up until a month ago when I did become vaccinated, who was just dead set against it. It just didn't feel right. Um, but I did experience it with loved ones, and I'm thankful that I've worked completely through it, and I have protected myself the entire time. Um, but it was something about it's the way that my grandfather, and I think I mentioned on our show before, it's just the look that he had in his eyes, and it was like, okay, I got to do this for my family, and then to hear knowledge like this that you don't know and you really don't have access to, it kind of put you in a little place, you know. Yeah.
You muted, Doc.
No, what I'm saying is that you have to understand the biochemistry behind vaccine. You have to understand the biochemistry behind viruses. You have to understand what the long term and short term goals of vaccines. Because what happens is you guys get vaccinated and you guys think you have some type of Superman abilities, but you don't, because you can be infected with the other strains, and that's the reality. We have people now that are dying not just from having an alpha strain; they might have beta, gamma, delta, gamma, all in one body, and that's the reality because this virus mutates on a regular basis every 2 weeks. So you really have to peel back the potato and understand where you're going if you're going to be able to survive and get to the other side in this new world that we're living in.
So, Doc, I guess for the people that's out there that are
Great
pro vaccine,
information.
and I know you say that you support vaccines that have been around, and the research is there to support it. Uh, but you said that they came out with this vaccine too fast, and they haven't done the research.
This vaccine hasn't been out in a year, and that's the reality. I mean, so I don't know why you cannot make leaps and bounds and say this vaccine is going to do this and that, because if that was the case a year ago, they would have had a warning on there. Man, if you take the Johnson & Johnson and you're a female, you're going to get clots and it's going to go to your brain. You're going to have a stroke. They put a warning on the Moderna shot and says, man, you get this shot, you're going to have a heart attack if you're 18 and 24 years old, and you won't be flying fighter planes or army helicopters for the army. Man, you get the Pfizer vaccine, this is what's going to happen, and this is a warning. So why didn't they have this information a year ago? Nobody would took the vaccine because they didn't know that. This is an experiment on the go. Get the information as we go.
So, what final words or what Danielle said? What solutions do individuals have that have contracted COVID? Folks need answers, not more myths. Well, I think
Well,
he answered that question, but go ahead, Dr.
no,
Rowland.
I'm just telling you, people like that. You drunk the Kool-Aid, so you drunk the Kool-Aid, so you have to deal with it. My responsibility is to give you education, give you solutions to the problem. So you need to make sure you follow me on Instagram, listen to me every Sunday night on the Sunday night news, understanding the reality, because I'm just going to tell you what time it is. I don't got time to sugarcoat it with you. And there is a difference between collard greens and spinach.
Well, we thank you so much,
Thank you.
Dr. Rowland, for coming and sharing your knowledge. Again, everybody gonna drink different Kool-Aid. Everybody gonna have different opinions. But hey, I'm gonna drink the same Kool-Aid you drinking because
Well,
you've been studying.
yeah, my Kool-Aid got sugar in it. I don't know what the other Kool-Aid they drinking.
Pure
You know,
cane sugar.
you're the only doctor that I know that have studied infectious disease all around the world.
That
The
is true.
majority of these doctors that are coming in on this disease, they haven't studied infectious disease. They family doctors or throat doctors or whatever they specialize in. They don't specialize in infectious disease.
That is very
So
true.
thank
That
you
is very
so
true. No,
so much, Doc.
hey, thank you guys very much. I hope to talk to you again. Bring you back on your show. I love Mississippi, and let's do a show in about a month, in the evening with Doc in Mississippi.
All
Let's
right,
do
we're gonna make
it.
it happen.
You guys take care, folks. Bye, bye, folks.
All
Thank
right.
you
Bye, bye.
so
Hey,
much.
Thank you.
hey, make sure you post this on Facebook. I got to get it out there. Get it out there.
Already.
Love it.
It's already.
You guys take care, folks. Bye, bye, guys.
All right, you
Thank
too.
Well, then, yeah, he did answer the question before you asked your question. He gave different things that you can do to protect yourself from the virus. He said wearing masks. First of all, he listed the 6, 7 ways that the virus is you can catch the virus. And he talked about the 5, 6 F's, your feet, feces, flies, formite, all these different things and ways that the virus is transmitted. And he talked about always wearing gloves and when you're touching ATM machines and gas pumps and things like that. And so those are some of the things that I have done to keep myself safe. I wear gloves. I use napkins and other things when I'm out in public. I try not to touch anything with my hands, and if I do, I sanitize my hands. I have my own pen when I go places that I have to sign things for. I don't use their pens. So little things like that that I have done to keep myself safe. Well, like I said, I thought that was a great interview. He gave great
It
information.
was.
based on his experience,
Yes.
and I don't understand what people want to hear. I mean, you want
Well,
people to agree. You want people to agree just so that everybody's saying the same thing, even though they don't agree.
and we can't do that. So my whole thing is I just this how I feel. Not with COVID, whatever. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. The objective is to be safe, try to be as healthy as possible, and you're going to have to live your life accordingly. And whether you're vaccinated, you're not vaccinated, whether it's going to be here 50 years or 5 years, whether or not people believe Dr. Rowland or Dr. Timbuktu. The objective is that you as a person have to be safe as possible for you and your surroundings. And that's just the bottom line. That goes with anything. You can walk out the door. These people shooting up and down the street every day.
Right.
So,
So, and that's how I feel about. Hey, if
it's
it's my
not an answer.
time, it's
I
my
don't think
time
it
to
is an
go.
answer. I don't think there is an answer. So it's nothing to answer.
So, I think if we look at what Trump did and not doing anything when this virus first came out, he could have stopped it. We couldn't have been going through this if he would make the decision to stop it. He didn't close the borders. He said it was a hoax, remember?
Right.
And so, yeah, so once we bring Dr. Lane back, I do want us to, you know, then yeah, I want you to be present so you can ask these tough questions. Again, I had the opportunity to work with Dr. Lane last summer, and I studied and worked with him on coming up with protocols. That's why I know so much about it. I read and did the research alongside him. This man is a genius, so anyway, let's get into this Chappelle show. We're going to switch gears and talk about Dave Chappelle, the closer. I went back and watched the show and took some notes, and he talked about, him having he had a goal. And this was, he had a deal with Netflix. And I think this is the last of his
This
shows
was the last for a while, he said.
complete that deal that he made with Netflix, and that's why it was called The Closer. It closed out the deal. And really, if people gonna be mad when I tell you that he talked about everybody from people from Michigan, women rights, he talked about gay rights, he talked about Jews. When I tell you he talked about everybody, well, nobody safe, nobody. And
Nobody was safe.
his whole
Nobody
point
was safe.
was he don't have a problem with transgenders, with gays, with nobody. His problem is with white people. Period. He
White
he,
people.
he wants
Yep.
to know why the LBGTQI plus community gets so much more, what's the word? Their movement is going so much better than the black movement when black people have been suffering longer than those of that community. And we know why, because white men are in that community. And he was trying to, explain why people are not as outraged when things happen to black people, but they outraged when it happened to people of the LBGT community. How do you feel about the special, and what did you take from it?
Well, I agree with everything you just said. However, I didn't even know that there was a special. I didn't even know nothing had even went on. One, Dave Chappelle is no one that I follow or listen to, and it's not because of his comedy antics or whatever, but he's just nobody that I'm interested in.
Right.
Netflix is not something that I watch often. So when people were talking about it, honestly, I didn't really know about it until gearing up for our show tonight. It's one of our topics, to be
Right.
honest. And as I went to listen and to find out and figure out what did he say, I never did see it. I only got backlash of what people were saying, and those transgender men and women that have platforms that were speaking out, and some said they had nothing to say, some said they wasn't gonna watch it, they didn't want to watch it. They don't follow him, which they all have that right. So you had
Right.
people that were mad at them for not watching it and not saying nothing. Then you have those that who did watch it that was upset about it. But everybody knows T.S. Madison. And I was at work and happened to hit Instagram, and she was the first person that popped up. And
What she had to say about it?
she is a transgender woman, and she said these words: "I choose not to watch it because I choose to protect my space." That for me was profound, because if you know that something is going to rattle you, send you into a different head space or what have you, then why put yourself in there if that's not what you want to deal with? So I applaud her for that. I'm with her on that. There were people who bashed her for not speaking up and not wanting to say anything. Which anyone who knows her, you can go follow T.S. Madison. You know how she is, and she gonna say what it is she want to say. Um, I used to be that person, but somehow I don't know. I can't do it no more. I can't. I've changed, but yeah, I watched it tonight prior to the show, so I kind of watched it fast, but I understood, and nothing about it was offensive or sensitive to me as a gay black man, as someone who has. I'm not transgender, but I have pretty much lived on that side of the fence before, so I was not offended at all. For one, he's a comedian, and for one, nothing he said was a lie.
Come
Nothing
on now.
he said was a lie. No one is raising the bar for him calling women bitches through the entire show. No one is raising the bar for that. No one is raising the bar for him actually, if you listen carefully, belittling white people. They're not white people not even standing up for themselves. They're too busy offended in their feelings about the man discussing the truth of the LGBTQ community and transgender people. You cannot change people's narratives and make them go along with you if that's not the route they want to go. So what? Because I mean, growing up, all kinds of names was called: fag, punk, sissy boy. So you can't whoop me. That was always my response. Call me what you want. You can't whoop me with all that. Whoop me. You can't. It's just the dynamic of people's mindset that baffles me. The dynamic of the mindset is something else. And if you're gonna put this in the pot, you might as well put all the peas in the pot.
Great feedback.
My
Great.
last thing is I don't care nothing about it. I mean, I just don't. It's nothing to even be fighting for.
I would say this, I feel like Dave Chappelle held a mirror up to America's face and America did not like what they saw.
Absolutely.
That's his act in a nutshell. He talked about things that actually happened in this country, and we act like we are outraged when we hear it. But this is what people live every day.
But that's because they want to sweep everything under the rug. Hush, hush. It's okay. No, it's not.
He talked about black people looking at that movement and saying, damn, that movement is going well. I wonder why. Why is it so easy for that? Well, I ain't gonna say easy. Why is that movement going better than black people? And for 400 years, we've been mistreated here in this country. And people don't realize what he said. He said that it's easier for Bruce Jenner to change his sex than it was for Cassius Clay to change his name. Do you
Absolutely.
remember the backlash that Muhammad Ali received when he wanted to change his name? And Bruce Jenner changed his sex and he became Woman of the Year. And to his point, he was saying that you bitches, been women all your life. This man been a woman 1 year and they crowned him Woman of the Year. Y'all should be mad. Women should be mad. So he made some valid points in his act. Can we not take a joke anymore?
Well, the
You
thing
know,
about it is, none of it was. It was in comedy, but it was truth. So it really wasn't a joke. It was for real. That was what I heard with my own two ears, and what my mind processed once it entered my two ears was reality, was truth, was facts.
so
I understood it immediately. I understood it immediately because his narrative was the same, and his narrative of everything that he said was basically about the white race. It was a whole. I think that the agenda that he's pushing, the narrative that he was showing, was was just that. Was just that. Even when he made the statement of the white gay guy in the restaurant and calls the police, he was valid. A black gay man wouldn't have done it because he would have been concerned. We both black in this situation. What's
we
going
all
to
go
happen?
to jail.
9 times out of 10, we both going to jail or something going to happen to both of us. So I do agree with that. You are gay until it's time for privilege.
So Yolanda
In
said,
some
"What
cases.
show is this?" We're talking about the Netflix special that Dave Chappelle did, and it's called The Closure.
The
Right now,
closure.
it's number 3 on Netflix. Miss
Right.
Gloria Miller also had comments. I think these comments were from the previous segment that we did. I definitely want to show her comments, but I believe in human rights. I also believe that we live in a free country. I just want to remind people what the First Amendment says. I believe people have forgotten that this is a free country, that people have a right of freedom of speech, that everybody don't have to agree with you, that, like he said with the woman, I didn't follow you to your car and did my stand up. You have a choice to listen or not.
Or not.
But the
Absolutely.
First Amendment says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right for the people to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So people have a right to say what they want to say in this free country. So you all don't want this country to be free anymore. You just want people
Well,
to agree with you and
some I believe too, Dr. J, that amendment, definitely still don't represent us as black people. It
explain.
affects us because it hits us harder. It affects us more in our freedom of speech and our freedom of liberty, and should be justice for all, but it ain't. It hits
So
us
it's
the
two
hardest.
different freedoms. So it's two different freedoms.
No, it's one different freedom. It's one freedom. Free is free. To be free is to be free. However, I still think it's a hold on our black people. I just don't think that we're free as our white people. We're not. If someone white, I'm sorry, had said the things that the rapper guy has said, the baby has said, none of that would have went on. See, his freedom of speech is
Good
revoked.
point. Good
It's
point.
taken away.
Damn, that was a good point. That was a
You
good
know,
point.
it wouldn't have been said. It wouldn't have been said. A black person can question the police, and they're gonna get shot and tossed and pulled out the car by their hair. A white man question the police, and it's okay. We on the same level here. You can ask me a question, but you can't. So that's what I mean when I say I don't even believe that that amendment, you know, is still to protect or for black people. It hit us the hardest.
Wow, wow,
You
wow.
say shit right next to them saying shit, and see whose shit gonna be dirtier.
Wow.
Man,
That is so crazy that they get away with saying and doing things. Because
anything they want.
think about that, and I am not of this council culture, especially for people speaking their mind. You know, if you're not threatening anyone, you should be allowed to
You say
speak
what
your.
you want to say.
But those people that have violated multiple people, like R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, what's the white guy name? I don't want to leave him out. You know,
In
those type of
Hollywood.
people. Yes.
And look at that. Look at those. Look at those freedoms.
Right. He still haven't been charged. He haven't been to court.
Nothing.
None of that. But the
Bill
black man,
Cosby done time and everything till he was blind. They throwing R. Kelly. They just throwing him completely away.
hey, but
They
you got to
ain't
think about
budged.
some of the stuff that R. Kelly did to these
They ain't
women.
budged in his case.
You know, and then it includes little boys, young girls. Like when people are sexually abused, especially at a young age, that affects them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, it's trauma. There's trauma. They suffer from trauma. They do, absolutely do, and I get it. I get it. They suffer from trauma, and
So what do we as black people need to be doing to move forward, not only our movement but this conversation? That's one reason I am thankful for Dave Chappelle. He opened up a much needed conversation that the world wouldn't be having if it wasn't for this special.
well, I think technically the world was having a discussion. I think Lil Nas started the discussion.
Okay.
I really do. I really do. And
But I don't think
the reason I said that the reason I said that is because the envelope that he pushed, as Dave Chappelle said, as I watched tonight, that button that he pushed was a button that the world has continuously walked by. Don't touch that button. Don't touch that button. Don't touch that button. From Hoppo's Juke Joint, from the musical, the play, theater play, push the button. Baby, the world has constantly walked by. Don't touch that button. Don't touch that button. Don't touch that button. I'm thankful for Lil Nas and I'm thankful for Dave Chappelle. Push that damn button. If I was fortunate enough to be of a platform of that magnitude, I would push the button. Because I've noticed that everything is, especially in the African American community, but the world as a whole grasps that hush, don't say that, don't discuss that. We're not gonna talk about that. Yes, we are. Why not? It's happening. It's here. Sweeping it under the rug, don't clean it up. Sweeping it under the rug just leaves it there in the pile. Now you got more trash. Trash on top of trash on top of trash on top of trash. Nothing has been disposed.
And just like Erica Badu said, we drag that trash, those bags around with us.
Bag lady.
Until somebody pushed the button. You know,
you
his message was
dragging all them bags like that.
Empathy is not black. Empathy is not gay. Empathy is bisexual. It goes both ways. I tell you, the way this man articulated his point was just, he's talented. I don't know any other comedian that takes what's going on in the world and put it in comedy so that people would not only laugh at it, but look at it, talk about it, just like we're doing now.
Right.
And I have to mention this. Dave Chappelle's dad was a professor. he actually quit his job to come help run the campaign to free Eddie Carthen and the Chula Seven. So his
Oh
his
wow.
his his
You're just
background really
connected
comes.
all the way around.
Babe, when I tell you God is amazing, baby, his background come from his dad. They were in the movement in Ohio. And my dad put me in contact with the people that were his roommates, Dana and Jim Brown. And when I tell you that it's just so much history, so what he's doing is embedded in his system.
It's in
He
him.
sees something wrong, and he want to talk about it and bring as much light and attention to it as he can.
And you know
So
what's so amazing to me about it, though? If black people would pay attention, all people for that matter, but especially black people would pay attention, and if they would see how he uses quote unquote the white man against themselves, he allows them to feel and think that they're making money off of him while he does nothing but shit shame them from beginning to end of
that's who need to
everything.
be leading the calls, because he messed them up. If you go back and watch all his specials, he
That's what
is
I'm saying.
consistently in their asses consistently.
And he has done it over time. That's why when he immediately started talking, immediately I got it. I got it. What you're saying though is that the only reason the community that I'm a part of is moving forward like we're moving is because you have this group of people in the front of it.
Right, right. And he made another good point about the women's movement, that they didn't want Sojourner Truth to get up and speak. They didn't want the women's
Right,
movement to be seen as a slave movement.
right.
And they have always done that to us. They have locked us out of every movement. And they don't come and get on our movement, but we gladly go and get on their movement. So,
Well, of course they want to tell you they already want to tell you what to do with your bodies. So of course
you know,
we need you. We know you need us, but we're not coming.
look, I
But
want to say
we
this
need you to get
last
here.
thing. I want to mention Daphne Dorman. He mentioned his longtime friend, Dave Chappelle mentioned his longtime friend who was transgender that opened up for him in San Francisco. And
Uh-huh.
that, the trans community got on him. And this lady, he don't know if that's the reason why she committed suicide, but 6 days after she opened up for Chappelle, she jumped off a building and committed suicide. And the fact that they would come after this lady to the extent that they did, whatever she was going through, what they didn't help it. And so for him to even do that, to give her opportunity, like, how can you even label somebody as transphobic or whatever? And even though he said that too about himself in the special several times, and I think he was being funny, but how can you say that about
Well,
somebody who established this relationship with this woman, and like she said, saw that she was having a human experience?
I think that he was his him acknowledging him being transphobic. I believe that was more so of him acknowledging the way that people want you to think transphobic is.
Wow.
He opened up his show with, do you think gay people can be racist?
Yep, he did.
Before the crowd could say anything on TV, I was sitting over here on the couch with my friends saying, yes, we are.
Because
We
y'all
are.
experienced it in the community.
We are racist within our set and our own, in our own community. Same thing with when they with Black Lives Matter. Yes, they do matter, but it also matters that we are racist in our own community. We are racist in our own communities, especially in LGBTQ community. You have what is considered masculine men who downgrade and
Wow.
demean feminine men, or you have the what you want to call muscular or this and that type male down to the chub, the bear, the fat man. You have the boys considered the gay men down in the trans women because they're in transition or want to trans. So yes, there is racism within the community. So when those outside of the community discuss it and throw it in your face, turn that mirror around in your face so you can see it, then you want to be upset and you want to be mad. You want to start a movement. You want to start a cancellation because now your feelings hurt. But you just turned around and did the same thing to your own community.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
It's a double standard.
Yep.
My advice is get your ass somewhere and sit down. Do that.
Have a seat.
Several. And it's just
Wow.
it's a mess. It's a mess. I tell people all the time, the human race as a whole is messed up.
And
If you ask me, everybody, the world should be laying on a couch.
right.
And that couch is
A
God.
therapist.
Right. But I'm just saying that's the
main
world
therapist.
therapy. Right.
Right.
Because I just feel like everybody is messed up. I
They
don't care
are.
how well we move about and how common things can be, how well we move about, how well we're put together, how good we whatever it is, I still think every single person is messed up because we live in a world where you have everybody have been taught so much unnecessary. You can't process it all. You can't understand it all. By the time you try to get this together and figure this out on this end, this rattling and rolling over here on this end, you're trying to figure this. Then here come this again. Then here come this again. Then
It's
here
a
come
lot.
that. And so sit down. Try to live. Live for you. Do what makes you happy.
Yep.
Try to keep a good head on your shoulder. If you can. If you
Yep.
can, remove yourself from evil. Remove yourself from evil if you can. But then, just some people that's just who they are too. So, but I think we all messed up, Dr. J.
We are, and it takes a strong person to admit that. You know, because even the word says we all have sinned and fallen short, and I do believe that. Hey, it's a struggle daily.
And it didn't say we're gonna just you're gonna sin one time and then I'll forgive you and you'll be good to go. That's not how they go. That's not how they go at
You know,
all.
this definitely is a conversation that we have to have more of these conversations. I talked to my
Absolutely.
friend Dr. Amawali. I can't wait to have him on the show. He was talking briefly about how black people treat gay people, and
Mhm.
it's just sickening. It's how we look down. He used the word niggers. He used the words
Mhm.
that black people treat gay people like they're niggers. Niggers treat people like niggers. That
Mhm.
was analogy that he used, and so I would love for
Which
him
is a great analogy.
to break that down for us
Which is a great analogy.
and show a mirror to some of these black people who do, like he said, punch down on my people.
And
Gay.
what's so interesting about that is that our people, our black people, African American people, niggas, is so far gone. Here is so messed up. They probably they ain't gonna see it. They ain't gonna even see themselves in the mirror. When they look in the mirror, it probably they gonna see blank because they're so messed up. And not to um not to agree with it or disagree with it, but I understand it. I
Yeah.
understand why.
They doing what they've been trained to do.
I understand why you so messed up. I understand it. And I think that's why, Dr. J, stuff like the Dave Chappelle's, the baby, the little Nas's, the what's the other little rapper name? The Boosies, the all that kind of stuff. I think that's why none of it affects, none of it bothers or resonate in me.
Because when you know who you are, you don't let other
You
people
know,
tell you who you are. That's why
it's
when he
like
was
it
saying bitches and all this other stuff, everything,
right.
only certain people got offended by what he said because of what they see, what they feel on the inside.
It's
So
a
you got
word.
to work. It's your job to keep your cup filled at all times. It's your job to know, first of all, that your cup is full and run it over. And
Because
most
at any time that is empty, you're gonna
that's
allow others to
you're
fill it
gonna
up.
get exactly. You're gonna feel after watching Dave Chappelle. You're gonna feel some type of way because your cup is empty.
It's
So your
empty.
job every day is to keep your
The
cup
cup
filled.
full. And
But
I don't
when
think
I tell you,
as a people
Dr.
know how.
Francis Cress Weldon, I don't think nobody articulated it as good as she did. You got to give white people an A for racism. You got to give it to them. They
Oh, that
created a whole system. You got to give them an A.
what's the word? X marked the box. Baby, they did. Now you talking about a plan.
Baby,
That's the smartest thing that they have done, could have done, ever done.
they took our homework and wrote their name on it and turned it in, and people believed it.
And they begin a A. They begin A plus every cent.
Ever since.
Every cent. A plus.
Boy, boy, boy. Man, listen, I
Absolutely.
can talk about this all
I
night.
know, right?
And I know you got a lot going on over there. Oh, but before we go, you got some events coming up.
Yes.
I want to make sure I get her comments in. Seem like I think she has some issues with the vaccine as well.
Gloria Miller. Hmm. Oh, her stuff is coming up late. Yes, y'all, we have the Ultimate Scream Tour coming October 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Each screen will begin at 6 p.m. Every screen will end at midnight. So follow the ghosts. Y'all come and enjoy a night of spooky screams, food, and fun, y'all. Please come out, y'all, to the Scream Tour. Also coming this weekend, October the 17th, Homecoming Brunch as well, y'all. Will be at Metro 2.0. The doors open at 1 p.m., $20 in advance. Free mimosas, 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 mimosas.
And this
And,
is sponsored by Life.
and absolutely. Life Inc., guys. Life Inc. Love Inside for Everyone
Love
is
it.
one of the newest nonprofits here on the block. We are located um, in Albion Parkway on Lake Harbor Drive. So those who are in need of any type of assistance or linkage to care, please hit me up. You can hit me up at Jermaine J Structure Jenkins.
All right. So I want to tell people about an opportunity to make $10,000 in 1 month. On October 20th, I will have a seminar to teach individuals how to make $10,000 in 1 month. Go to thefabulousdrj.com to sign up. It's $100 to attend. How many people will spend $100 to learn how to make $10,000? So
Absolutely.
And the receipts don't lie. I have receipts. I'm going to show you how I did it, and you can do it too. So check it out. This has been a good show, Jermaine.
Yeah.
We
We
made
rocked
it.
and rolled.
We held down the fork by ourselves.
Absolutely. The original, of course.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. And do it well.
So thank you so much. And doing it and doing it and doing it well. So you guys, we will be back next week. If you all want us to interview anybody or have any special topics for us, definitely let us know. We want to talk more about topics like we did tonight, so that, and we want you all to be a part of the conversation. Any final
Absolutely.
thoughts?
My final thought is I just want us to be I just want us to live according to to righteousness. You
Yes.
know, you can feel wrong, you can feel unnecessariness. You know what it is. Just live. That's my only thought. Just live.
I
Live and
love
let live. How about that? Live and let
it.
live.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. And to follow up with that, I would say live on purpose. There's something that God has put you here to do that can't nobody do it but you. And that don't mean that other people have to agree with it, other people have to like it. Do what works for you. Do what God has put in your heart to do while you're here on this planet. And until you find that out, nothing else even matters. So
Right.
thank you all for tuning in to A View
View
from the
from the
Zip.
skip.
We will see you all next week. Same time, same place.
Right here.
Right here. Bye.
To stay informed about what's happening right here in Jackson, Mississippi, keep it locked to A View from the SIP.